I'm the Flat Rate Master, and let's talk about shop efficiency. Let's talk ways that shops can increase technician efficiency. Now, this is the stuff that technicians rarely have that much control over, but shops do. All right, first one, don't buy cheap parts. It sounds simple, but it is amazing how much productivity is lost by bad parts. Parts that don't fit. Anchor, I'll name them, anchor engine mounts where the holes didn't line up and you got to drill them out to make it fit so you can bolt it up. I mean, that should not, that's lost productivity right there. Or, well, wallet with wings, aka doorman. I mean, when you're on your third purge valve and it's still freaking stuck open, you lose productivity. Anytime you have to go back and re-diagnose a car, because if you're, yeah, we all suspect doorman, but we all have to go back and figure out, well, was I wrong or is the part I just installed bad? That kills productivity. Chances are with those cheap parts, OE's probably the same price. In fact, several times it's been cheaper. You go to the doorman part and it's, $5, $10, $20 more than the OE part. Not always, not always, but the fact of the matter is every time you hand a technician a questionable part, one, he's going to question it. Let's say you hand him that purge valve. He installs it. He tests it. He retests it. He tests it again to make sure he doesn't have a comeback. Lost productivity. You need to understand that that kind of productivity lost is just money in the wind. Instead of that technician going in and grabbing the next car, he's questioning those parts. He's questioning his diagnosis. He's taking time that's not being billed. Even if you can get those parts warrantied 4 million times and get paid something to put them on, it's really not worth it. Think about, I don't know many, not many parts companies pay full boat labor. So chances are you're losing money every time you have to warranty a part like that. So doing cheap parts is really, well, one, it's a disservice to the customer, and two, kills productivity. All right, this is a pet peeve, I think, of every technician, and it does lose productivity. It may not sound like much, but it loses productivity. Service advisors running up to you and going, is it ready yet? When's it going to be done? Every time you stop a technician from working on that car is time he's not working on the car. It seems, well, obvious, but it's really not. It's one of those things that every time you stop a technician, say you walk up to a technician, you go, you got an ETA on that car, is it going to be done, yada, yada, yada. And we understand. It's getting late in the day, and you got to figure out if you're going to have to put the customer in a rental car or, call them and say it's not going to get done today. We understand. But when it's 12, the parts just got there. Don't ask us when the car is going to be done. It's way too early in the process to be doing that, and all it does is slow down the process. And you can also potentially kind of annoy the technician, which means he's going to decide he's going to take a little break, making it even longer. Or, he's going to be trying to figure out where the heck he was when you asked him that. Having a technician start tearing down a car when he doesn't have all the parts, just a bad idea. Even if a technician's got multiple bays, starting to tear down a car before he's got all the parts means that somewhere in the process, he's going to have to stop. Meaning when he goes back to it, there's going to be a delay in figuring out where he was, what he needs to do, because he started without all the parts. When a technician tears down a car, he's got a flow. At least I do. and I know where every bolt goes. I know where everything is on that car. Now obviously, sometimes engine work, that kind of stuff, you got to send heads off to machine shop, stuff like that. Understandable. But we're talking just normal day-to-day jobs. You pull stuff apart, you put bolts in certain places, you know where those bolts go back. Well, if there's a large delay waiting on parts, that technician's got to go, and that can honestly delay the process a lot more than you're saving by having him tear it down, or her. On that note, instead of him tearing down a car that he doesn't have the parts for, have him grab the next ticket, get that diagnosed so you can sell it. So when he's done with that car that doesn't have all the parts, that when they come in, he can jump to that car, knock that out. You see, the point is you want them constantly having a, backlog of stuff to do, waiting on approvals and parts. That's one of the things we do here. We try to get as many of the customers to drop off first thing in the morning, and then in the morning all we do is pull in cars, diagnose them, pull them back out, and do that till there's no more cars to look at, or we've got too much sold and we need to, I stop assigning that technician work because they've got a nice backlog. That's how technicians bill 60, 70, 80 hours in an independent shop, is not because, they're super efficient, they're hacking. It's because of our methods. That's one of the things that I've really pushed for here, is pull it in, diagnose it, move on to the next. Pull it in, diagnose it, move on to the next. And keep doing that until that technician has a nice chunk of work sold, because then what he can do, when his parts get there, he can bring it in, knock it out, bring it in, knock it out, keep doing that, and becomes really efficient at, knocking out work. Efficiency. All right, this is going to go to the chain stores primarily, because they're the ones that really require this. Stop taking wheels off every car. It annoys me, for one thing. It's useless in most cases. Now, there's points where you need to take wheels off cars to do a thorough brake inspection, but if it's there for, a coolant leak, there's no reason to take wheels off to look at the brakes when you can look at them through the wheels, on the lift, back. Now, admittedly, if they're marginal, you might want to take a wheel off and look at them a little closer, and then, make sure the calipers aren't seized and that kind of stuff. But my point of that is if it's not there for a brake complaint, why do you take the wheels off? If you're doing a rotate, take the wheels off and rotate them. But my point is, that little bit of that policy of having to take wheels off every car is stupid, because, guess what? It doesn't really help you that much, because even the brakes you're going to sell, the technician probably would have seen. Waiters. Waiters are the biggest time waster for technician efficiency. Pulling in a waiter, technician A is working on a 5-hour job. You pull him off to do a headlight bulb. Okay, so he's got to go back to that job, figure out where he was, figure out that then gets going on it again, and I got a waiter oil change. Schedule your waiters. The pop-in waiters are just a time sink. You don't make money on them. Yeah, it's free. Yes, it's cheap advertising, but it's hurting your current production right now. Because every time you pull a technician off a job, it only takes 15 minutes to do that waiter oil change, but how much time did you waste around it? And that's one of the big things that I can't stand about the shops that go. Little side story. I was reading an article a few years ago about a management group that their answer for everything was yes. Oh, you need an oil change? Yes, bring it in. Oh, you need an engine? Yes, bring it in. Oh, you got a headlight bulb? Yes, bring it in right now. And the shop that the article was talking about had 100% turnover. And surprisingly, had 100% turnover. It's going to be a very unique crowd to want to work in a shop where they can't maintain a flow working on cars. You have any experience working on cars, you know you kind of get in a rhythm when it comes to a job. Even a job you've never done before, because you've figured out where you're going, you kind of got a flow of plan of where you're heading next, and it becomes really obvious when you get pulled off that that plan just got shot to heck. So waiters are another just efficiency killer for shops. So hopefully these tips were helpful. As always, thanks for watching. I am the Flat Rate Master.